All right, attempt number two. Go. I think Bobby said something about spending a couple $100,000 on a production team for us since we can't get this right.
Yeah, that'll work. Let's take care of the problem.
All right, going live in three, two, one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second ever episode of Picked Off with Josh and Carter. I am your host, Josh Griffin, and my partner, as always, Alex Carter. Alex, how's it going this morning?
Pretty good. And just to reiterate, once again, like I talked about last week, we're not life partners. We're just broadcast partners.
All right. Keith Ricker is on. He says nothing like professionalism. Thank you, Keith. We appreciate the vote of confidence. It is, however, just our second episode, so please bear with us during all these technical difficulties. There's about 9 million things that you have to remember before you start a live stream, and it's a daunting task. I haven't written them all down. I need to write them all down probably so that we can have a little more professional show. But again, this show is not professionalism. This is one of those shows you can crack open a beer at 10 o'clock in the morning, and nobody's going to judge you for it. All right, so what do we got for the folks today, Carter? We've got some NFL draft talk, current issues.
That's right.
Um, we're going to do a little history. We're going to do our top five favorite sports movies of all time. So that one should be interesting. Carter's going to grind his gears later on down the road. We've got some more whack ass traditions. Um, then we're going to talk a little bit about our favorite home game and our favorite road games for Tennessee football. We've got General Nealon's seven memes, and then we got a little wish list at the end of the program where we're going to talk about what teams outside of conference we'd like to see the Vols play. So, action
Got a good
packed
show
show.
today.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm pretty excited. All right, let's kick it off with some current news. Talk a little bit about the draft. Carter, what do we know about the Vols in the draft?
Well, mainly we got five guys that are probably going to get drafted. If I was a betting man, I'd say they'd get drafted. I don't think we'll have anybody go in the first round, unfortunately. But, we've been surprised before because but a few years ago, Juwan James went in the first round and nobody saw that coming. But I don't see that happening this year. But we do have five really good players that should do good in the NFL, hopefully. And, it's pretty ridiculous that we've had 2 years now in recent years where not a single player from the University of Tennessee has been drafted. I mean, just ridiculous. But hopefully those times are over. And the guys that we got coming up today are coming up for the draft. Of course, wide receiver Juwan Jennings, everyone's favorite player, the dog. We got Marquez Callaway, another wide receiver, Daniel Batuli. We've got Darrell Taylor and Nigel Warrior. So those are five guys that I expect every one of them to get drafted for sure.
So, out of Callaway and Jennings, that's probably they're both wide receivers. I think they'll both be some of the earlier picks out of the five that are going. Who do you think goes first, Jennings or Callaway? And do we want to put a bet on it?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think we should put a bet on it because I'm going to say Marquez Callaway goes first. Reasons why, I think his speed, and you got to understand, I mean, Jennings did not do good in the combine. And, I hate to say that. I think that definitely hurt his draft stock some. You got to understand, though, I mean, he came to Tennessee as a quarterback. He played quarterback in high school. Really, I think the only reason why is that's going to hurt, is because of speed. He had a pretty bad, I hate to say it, 40 times. So I'm going to say Callaway goes first. And I don't know how you feel, but.
Well, I tend to disagree. Callaway, this is a tough one, really. Callaway is that more prototypical NFL wide receiver. He's got the height, he's got the speed, he can high point the ball. We've all seen that several times. I just think that there's so much to be said for Jawan Jennings' style of play. He's a dog. I mean, he will get that extra yard. He will fight through tackles. What he does with the ball after he's caught it is something that can't be taught. It's just a mentality. So I think that somebody will see the value in that, and they'll pick him up, even if he's just a gimmick receiver, gimmick play receiver, third down receiver, somebody who's going to get you those extra yards, those kinds of things. So I'm going to say Jennings goes before Callaway, but I don't think that they'll be too far apart. Dave Newcomb says, "What's up, guys?" Christian Ballard says, "Hey, Vol Rocho." And Keith Ricker is in here talking about your neck beard. He says you need to shave it.
Well, Keith there, aka Big Vol Daddy, he's the king of that. So king of the neck beards, and But thank you, Keith. I appreciate
Look, Carter,
the criticism.
if you go to the 50-yard line at Neyland Stadium and you dig up a little bit of dirt and rub it on your face, you get one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Oh, I thought you were. I thought you were using Miracle Grow or something.
Well, there's Miracle Grow in the soil at Ball Stadium at Neyland Stadium. So
yeah, and there's a damn cement truck underneath the field too.
that's true.
Did you know that?
A cement truck?
Yeah, when they were doing construction. Yeah, okay. I just make sure.
Yeah.
But thank you, Keith. I appreciate that.
All right. So what are we betting here on the Callaway Jennings bet? Who goes first in the draft? What are we doing?
Oh,
the loser gets egg on their face.
Loser gets egg on the face. That's fine. Now, when you say egg on the face, there's different ways to do that. So, are we going to take it and just like smack it on our head? Or are you going to pretty much slap yourself in the face with a raw egg?
Double fisting eggs.
Double fisting. Okay.
Right in the face.
Yeah. Okay. Double fisting in the face.
and we'll stream it live.
Okay.
We'll do it on the episode that follows the draft.
Yeah. So that'll be next Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't, if they're way on down in the later rounds or something, once we know who's gone first, and I think out of those two, somebody's going in the first 3 rounds.
Oh yeah, I hope so, man. That would be. I mean, I'd really like to see one of them go somebody go in the first round, but I don't see it. But I think the big talk of the draft, is obviously going to be Joe Burrow. I think it's pretty much a guarantee he's going to the Bengals. First pick overall.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not Joe Burrow. I meant Kevin McAllister.
Oh, you think McAllister's going to the Bengals instead of Burrow?
No. Joe Burrow is Kevin McAllister from Home Alone.
What? Oh. Oh man, it's early. It's early, and I've already started drinking. I got you now, Kevin McAllister, Home Alone. I got you.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. All right, so you're thinking he goes number 1 instead of Tua?
Yeah, I just don't think Tua is. Dare I say it? I don't think Tua is going in the first round. There, I said it.
Ooh, Alabama fans, hot take. There it
is. Okay, look. You know how a lot of times, quarterbacks, there's usually maybe 1, sometimes 2. They go in the first round. But we've had, a few seasons where, I mean, it's so weird because quarterbacks and especially running backs aren't as big as they used to be, it seems like, in the drafts.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm just saying I don't think Tua is going in the first round. I'll probably be wrong. That's fine. But I'll definitely say this, man. If I had to pick between Kevin McAllister or the pineapple, I would say Kevin McAllister all day long.
All right. And let's see. We've got a couple of comments in the YouTube. See YouTube. I told you guys. That we wouldn't leave you out this go round. Haas says BVD taking shots at his boy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, BVD's my dad. For everyone that doesn't know that, he is my dad. You know, he's about 18 years behind on child support, but you know what? We'll keep that hush hush. That's why he didn't get a stimulus check, asshole.
He's doing what he can to try to catch that child support up. He's running shows for us now. You're trying to make some extra money.
Yeah, he's also on the street corner.
Is he?
Yeah.
Keith, you gonna let him talk to you like that? Sam Bell on YouTube also says, "What's up, Carter?"
Hey, Sam. Sam's a really good guy there. So shout out to Sam Bell. Appreciate you coming on here.
All right, so let's get this in. Locked in here. Egg on the face, double fisted eggs in the face. Live stream. You take Marquez Callaway going before Jennings, and I say Jennings goes first in the draft out of the.
I'm wearing Marquez's jersey, number 1.
There you go.
And Josh, I know how you like double fisting or getting double fisted face. You know.
Hey, watch it. This is a show. All right, so yeah. Next up is the moment in Vols history, which is a treat for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Carter, what happened?
So the moment.
What happened on this moment that we've got for the folks?
Well, we're going to wind the clocks back, or we're going to go back in time to October 25th, 2003. You know what happened on October 25th, 2003, Josh?
Something about, today's April the 21st.
That's true.
So 2 days ago was April the 19th.
Yep, 4/19.
Yeah, so something about 4th and 19, I would imagine.
4th and 19, you're absolutely right, Josh. Right here, 2003, 3rd Saturday in October, Tennessee, Alabama. 4th and 19, and I can't remember exactly which overtime it was, but it was 4th and 19. Casey Clausen hit C.J. Payton just on a beautiful play to keep us in the game.
4th and 19. Here's James Banks. He's their go-to guy, and he's being defended by Alabama's best guy, Charlie Pepler. Let's see where Casey goes with the football.
3 wide left. They need the 15-yard line. Rush 3 for Alabama. Clausen deep down the middle, got a man open at the 10.
Unbelievable.
Are you kidding? C.J. Payton.
There it is. There you have it.
Yeah. I love Casey Clausen, man. So underrated. Or underappreciated.
Yeah. Casey Clausen was the quarterback whenever I started at UT, and then let's see, I think it was my sophomore year was when never mind. I'm thinking Rick Clausen.
Oh God.
Who was? All right, you guys have to forgive me, because I didn't go to the University of Tennessee until I was 21 years old, and I didn't follow Tennessee football as well. But it was Rick first, right? Then Casey?
No, it was Casey, then Rick.
Other way around. Okay. Rick Clausen.
See, Rick transferred from LSU.
Right, and Rick was the QB whenever I came in, and then right after that it was Brent Schaefer and Eric Ainge started duking it out for the next starting spot. So yeah, sorry, I was thinking of Rick, but yeah. Anyway, fantastic play. What happened after that play, Carter?
We scored. I think I mean, man, I can't even remember what overtime that was when that play happened, but I mean, we were in 5 overtimes, and I know we won 51-43, and each series was just crazy. I mean, just absolutely insane. And I know the final play, Alabama had it fourth. I think it was fourth and about 4. And, they're trying to get a first down. And they threw a fade right out in the corner of the end zone, and Jason Allen batted it down. So, yeah, awesome.
Great moment in Vol sports history. All right. You want to hit them with our top 5 favorite sports movies?
Yeah, I guess I can go first on this one. So I'm going to go 5-1. Number 5, I'm going to go with The Sandlot. Just a great movie. Especially as a kid, I bet I watched that movie 1,000 times. Still watch it to this day. Number 4, Remember the Titans. That's probably on a lot of people's. That might be their number 1. Number 2. Number 3, I'm going to say Major League. I like Major League 2. I don't even think I think I've seen the third one, but it wasn't as good as the first 2. But the first one to me is the best.
All right, so a lot of people do this. I'm going to interject here. A lot of people do this where they dog on Major League 3. A lot of people haven't even seen Major League 3. But in my opinion, if you're trying to capture the true essence of baseball, Major League 3 is a great movie. It's about the minor leagues. I mean, it doesn't get more baseball than the minor leagues. So whenever I talk about the Major League, I call it a trilogy because I love that third movie. I think it's the better of the 3 in terms of if you're a true baseball fan at heart.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong.
Well, Bull Durham,
great comedy in part 1 and 2, and I love the cast from both of those movies. They're also in my top 5, the Major League trilogy, but I grouped that third one in because I love that movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, talking about minor league baseball, I mean, Bull Durham, a great movie, and
agree.
But anyway, my number 2 is Varsity Blues. Love that movie. Billy Bob, all that stuff. I mean, just that remind. I mean, it's not all like.
Can you do the new Tweeter end zone dance?
Probably could, but you know what it's called?
The new Tweeter end zone dance.
The new Tweeter end zone dance. Exactly. That's just a great movie. It's Paul, rest in peace, Paul Walker. A lot of good actors in that movie, actually. So yeah, that was high school.
That movie came out while I was playing high school football. And it was a really bad influence on a lot of us. We thought we could keep up with those partying folks, and we did a lot of dumb things because of that movie.
Oh, I guarantee it. I mean, and you grew up in Texas too, right?
I did. I grew up about 2 hours from the field that they filmed Varsity Blues at, the high school. I think a lot of the high school scenes were filmed at other high schools, but the stadium that they used for their games as their home stadium was Georgetown. Georgetown, which is over by Austin, Texas. I grew up around Houston, Texas. So I grew up not too far from where they shot those football scenes. And then also there is the Gentlemen's Club that they went into when they had the all-night bender before the game is right by the Austin airport, and it's called the Landing Strip. And I have taken my picture. I didn't go inside. It was during the day, but I have taken my picture in front of that. And that picture hangs up in my man cave.
Nice. I'm sure your wife loves it.
She doesn't know what it is.
Hope she don't watch this episode.
She doesn't watch anything I do.
Yeah. Well, my number 1 movie, and this is my all-time, it's probably my favorite movie ever, is The Program. And there might be some people like, what the hell is The Program? But I think it's the best college football movie out there. I'm not saying it's the best football movie, but as far as college football goes, I'd say it is. And, fun fact about that movie, the scenes where they're playing the games was filmed during the 1992 South Carolina-Tennessee game at Williams-Brice Stadium. So if you're watching scenes when they're playing the games, they'll show shots of the crowd. You can see Tennessee fans in there, especially when they do like a big overview. There's I think they were playing Mississippi State their first game. And you can see orange up in the corners and stuff. And it's I always thought that was cool. But yeah, Big Vol Daddy in the comments, Keith, I think he said he was at that game and he remembered, I think he said it was during halftime. It looked like Mississippi State and it looked like, because ESU, which is the team for the movie, they looked like Florida State. They rushed them onto the field and ran some plays and did some filming and stuff. So, yeah, but that's just my favorite movie. I think it just captures everything about college football, from recruiting to, having to be a student athlete and everything.
I went and saw the program in the movie theaters. It was the first movie that my parents let me watch by myself. I was getting ready to start playing high school football whenever it came out. And I actually saw the theatrical version, and they cut it out because so many kids started doing it. I don't know if you've ever seen this version, but there's a scene where what's his name? Joe. They call him Joe Heisman. What's his name in the?
Joe Kane.
Joe Kane. Joe Kane. They're in a bar or whatever. They're drinking, and then they all go outside and they lay down in the middle of the road on the center stripe. They're drunk. They're laying down in the middle of the road. There's cars passing left and right, and that was in the original version that I saw. They eventually cut it out because a couple of guys went and tried to do that and got run over and killed. But
see, I never knew that. I never seen that. No.
Yeah, I bet you could find it on YouTube. I bet you can find a clip of it on YouTube, the original
right.
version where they lay down in the road. But yeah, it was a great movie. I really loved it. Whenever I was getting ready to play high school football, it pumped me up. Of course, we all of the guys in my class, whenever we got to pick our intro music, we chose "Welcome to the Jungle" because of that practice montage that they're doing.
Of course.
When "Welcome to the Jungle" is playing. So, and our mascot was the Panthers, so "Welcome to the Jungle" fit perfectly. I think they may still call the field the Jungle now. It was named after somebody, but I think they still call it the Jungle now because of that. But Joey Watts says, "Are you guys ready for everything to open back up?" I'm ready. God, yes.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I got to get this neck beard shaved. Oh, God.
You don't own a razor?
No.
They're like, you can get them for like $1 down at the dollar store. All right, so my top 5. We got some similarities in there.
All right.
I'm gonna start with number 5, the Major League Trilogy.
All right.
And then go to number 4, probably the greatest baseball movie of all time, The Sandlot.
Absolutely.
Number 3, because I am such a fan of comedy, The Waterboy. And The Waterboy, you get laughs. You get a lot of laughs in that movie, and you get pumped up. I mean, you get amped up whenever they're in that big game and they're making that comeback, the Bourbon Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the name of the school, South Central Louisiana State University.
The old Mud Dogs of SCLSU.
Yeah. You remember when Bobby Boucher come back and the Mud Dogs won the Bourbon Bowl?
All right. Number 2, Remember the Titans. And number 1, and it's not even close. And if you have anything else, I don't care if you're a hockey fan or not. If you have anything else at your number 1, you don't appreciate sports in the way that I do, and that's Miracle. The 1980 Olympic hockey team, a bunch of college kids, go down and beat the best hockey team in the world. It's really, really that movie. I get chills about every 5 minutes in that movie.
It is good, yeah. I have to agree with you. I mean, I didn't put it in my top 5, but we could do a top 20 list probably. There's just so many great sports movies, and unfortunately, I mean, think of the basketball movies. Neither one of us put a basketball movie. You could talk about Space Jam, Coach Carter, Hoosiers. I mean, you could go on and on.
That's true. There's a lot of
Would you consider?
Go ahead.
So, would you consider the Rocky movies to be sports movies?
Yeah, and I almost put them in my top 5. Of course, the Rocky movies are sports movies, and they probably should be in the top 5. Maybe, if I'm being honest with myself and I'm really just focusing on sports, I take the Waterboy out and put Rocky in its place in the 3rd spot.
All right. Well, moving on. What's next, Josh?
How you feeling this morning? You feeling like grinding some gears?
I could grind some gears always, anytime. All right.
All right, you ready? Carter's gonna get tell you guys what's grinding his gears. My favorite graphic on the show. Apologies for the first episode where I couldn't compose myself, but I've looked at it enough that it's still funny. Don't get me wrong, but I can talk now while it's up. Carter, what's grinding your gears, buddy?
2-teamers. Okay, 2-teamers, and there's different kinds of 2-teamers. The first kind of 2-teamers are the fans that cheer for every team in their state. There's a guy in particular on YouTube, quite a few people know him, called Sports Live in the ATL. He's a Falcons fan, but he likes every single team in the state of Georgia. Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, Georgia, Georgia State, all the other, Valdosta State, hell, probably. It drives me crazy, and it really grinds my gears. I can't stand, I mean, it's one thing if you're a fan of, let's say, for instance, University of Tennessee, and maybe you went to school at UT Martin or Austin Peay. Okay, that's one thing. I mean, totally 2 different divisions. But how the hell are you going to be a fan of Tennessee and a fan of Vanderbilt? Or, Alabama and Auburn? That's just ridiculous. And it really grinds my gears. But there's another part. There's quite a few people who are fans of Tennessee football and fans of, like, Kentucky basketball. I mean, really?
I can't wrap my head around. I understand. I could even understand, let's say you're a Vanderbilt fan.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not having a great season. Tennessee maybe is, playing for the SEC, or they're going to a really big bowl game. I can understand wanting Tennessee to win for state pride purposes. But what I can't understand is how you can be, exactly like you said, a Tennessee football fan and a Kentucky basketball fan and an LSU baseball fan. I don't know. I don't understand the thought process behind that.
Yeah, I don't either. It really, like I said, I mean, you gotta think, and you can't compare this to professional sports. It's a university, okay? University of Tennessee. They have football, baseball, basketball, women's sports, the whole nine. And that's the way I look at it. There's a lot of them like that. I know people who like Alabama football and Kentucky basketball, and more of a bandwagon fan when you look at it that way. But yeah, it really grinds my gears.
Yeah, a BVD in the comments section said, Carter, that was the most tarded question you've ever asked. Would you consider Rocky to be a sports movie? It's like asking if the Titanic would be considered a movie about a sinking boat.
Well, would be probably a drama, right?
Yeah,
I would think.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the reason I asked the question. I don't know, because yeah, I mean, it's a great film.
What else is grinding you?
Do you know what else grinds my gears, Josh?
What's that?
fans who tweet at recruits. Not just tweets.
Hey, we Vol fans are probably some of the most guilty in that respect.
There's two individuals I'm really referring to, but I'm not going to mention their names. But it really grinds my gears that you're going to sit there and there's a few people who tweet at them, "Hey, give me a follow back," or "Oh, you're so great, you're awesome. I can't wait, to see you in Orange," or whatever. Okay, that's one thing. But the bad part is when a recruit decommits from Tennessee, okay, then it's like you'll see people, wishing harm on them, calling them names, and you got to think these are kids, man. They're in high school, and you're a grown man, and you're tweeting at them and wishing harm on them and stuff like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was 17 years old, I made all kinds of decisions, or stupid decisions. I'm not saying that because they decommit from Tennessee, they're being stupid, but, these kids don't really know what they want to do, and they're going to probably change their mind 15,000 times. So I guess it's just part of it. And I know back in the day, player would commit and they'd stay committed. But you got to understand, times have changed. Social media's out there. I think players now get more visits and stuff like that. But, yeah, people tweeting at recruits is just ridiculous and stupid.
Right.
And it really, really grinds my gears.
I've never seen a fan tweet at a player, and then all of a sudden that player was really excited about going to their university.
Yeah, they're probably creeped out.
Yeah, probably. Well, and then it puts a lot of pressure on the kids, I think, whenever they feel like, there's a rabid fan base that they're walking into. They generally want to go. Well, some kids want to go be the star immediately.
Of course.
But then again, others want to go in, lay in the weeds a little bit for their freshman year, redshirt year, and then come out and shine a little bit once they're a little more developed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But regardless, tweeting at kids for not choosing your school, or tweeting at kids to try to come to your school, probably not the best move.
Well, yeah, and I know that recruits want attention. They like the attention. They want the followers. So that's and I understand that. But that doesn't mean you have to try to interact with them on a personal level. Wanting to get a follow so you can send them a DM or whatever.
Right.
And we have some guys in our own fan base that are really bad about that.
Exactly.
But anyway, that's what grinds my gears for this show.
Anything else? No, that's it. Just the two fan, or the fan. What do you call them? What did you call them?
The two teamers.
Two teamers.
Oh no! You're right. I have one more thing.
I thought you had three.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I do. Alternate uniforms. Now hold on before some Tennessee fans, start getting upset. I realized that we did the Smoky Grays, and I realized that we did the black jerseys in 2009 against South Carolina. I get it, but you can take it to an extreme. I feel like, you can take it way too far with these alternate uniforms. Obviously, we did the black jersey, and then we did the Smoky Grays, which really the Smoky Grays are a thing of the past. I don't know if we'll ever do them again. Or at least as long as Jeremy Pruitt's our head coach, we want. And that's okay with me. When Butch Jones, talked about the Smoky Grays, the funny thing is, everybody, he said that officially it's a school color, which I thought was ridiculous because, Tennessee chose orange and white because of the daisies that grew on the hill. I didn't know there was any Smoky Gray daisies, But
there were
like
some,
Oregon,
there were some times throughout Tennessee sports history or Tennessee football history that they did wear gray jerseys.
yeah, no
There was
kidding. It
gray
was,
in the jerseys.
yeah, they didn't even have, yeah, so did every other college football team. I mean, they were made out of freaking wool. I mean, come on.
But yeah,
You had two different colors, gray or black.
I'm right there with you, and I'll even talk to the Tennessee fans. I don't like the smoky grays. I liked
Yeah.
the idea of changing it up a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll give Butch Jones credit on this. I loved the stripe that faded into the checkerboards on the back of the helmet.
Hey, I'm with you there, man.
That was a great look. I really liked that look. He could have done
Yeah.
some other things to pay homage to older, uniforms in the past, but that was a really good look. And but the switch to the smoky grays, they looked all right, I guess. I mean, it was a sharp looking uniform, but I just don't like. Yeah, exactly. I just don't like changing it up too much. It looks like you're. It looks like you're talking at recruits, and things like that. I mean, I understand that a lot of these young kids want to come into a university where they're going to get a lot of gear. There's going to be a lot of a lot of cool looks and stuff when they're playing. But if you look at the top teams that are performing year in and year out, some of the more hardcore tradition schools, you've got the Alabama, the University of Texas, Notre Dame.
Penn State.
Notre Dame switches it up a little bit, but not a lot. They don't venture too far
No.
away from their scheme.
I mean, they've taken it a little far. Like when they had the half blue helmet with the, I don't know what that was that one year, but
yeah,
I'm thinking about teams like Oregon, even Florida.
So Oregon gets a pass in my book because Oregon, that's their stick. That's what they do. They are they're the kings of changing the uniform. They never wear the same uniform more than once, except for what was the year that they had the wings on their shoulder pads and they just kept changing up the color schemes.
Yeah, 2013, I think.
Yeah, so that I think Oregon gets a pass because that's what they do. But then
what about the Pepto-Bismol helmet?
Who had Pepto-Bismol helmets?
Oregon. They wore pink helmets.
Oh,
and I get it's for a good cause,
breast
but
cancer. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
for things like that. I mean, if you're going to change up your uniform to honor the troops, to support breast cancer awareness or autism awareness and things like that, that's fine. I've got no problem with that. What I do have a problem with is coaches coming in off of as a new hire and trying to change up the entire look of the team and stepping outside of tradition. I guess that's my biggest thing. And I thought that the smoky grays, maybe it's cool to do it one time in honor of Smokey. Maybe it's Smokey's birthday or something like that. Maybe you do something like that. But I didn't like it being a part of the rotation. I love what Pruitt's done, going back to the the traditional white and orange top bottom mix up. All orange, all white.
Yeah, we're getting
the
stripes back.
I heard that, and I'm pretty excited to see that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's time for. I mean, if we're all saying Tennessee football needs to get back to what Tennessee football was, and it's the uniform should go with it. So putting the two stripes on and the orange pants and all those things are, I don't know, great in my book. Anything else grinding your gears? I know we said at the beginning of the show that you had 3 things. Anything?
No, that's it for this week. No, I'll have some more on Thursday though. So
I'd be interested to see what the fans have to say about the uniforms. You guys, drop it in the comment section down there. Speaking of the comments, we've got Sam Bell said that he met Casey Clausen in Knoxville at a boxing gym. That makes a lot of sense.
Nice.
And Keith says he still loves you, and he still claims you, and he promises he's on that child support issue. So hey, you could have some money coming your way.
Yeah, maybe so. Shout out to Keith. a quick little plug. You can find him on YouTube at Big Ball Daddy. And I do a Sunday night stream with him every Sunday night. But anyway, moving on.
While we're plugging people, we should probably say a quick thank you to our sponsors. I'm going to try to point to them here. Right over there. Well, I can't. Yeah, right up there. Hound Dogs. Hound Dogs in Knoxville. I love Hound Dogs. I'd never been in until I jumped on the Volunteer Roadshow family bandwagon here. And then I decided to venture into a Hound Dogs one day to see what was up in there and who was sponsoring us. And it really is, and I've said this before on other broadcasts, it really is Vol heaven. I mean, anything that you can imagine relating to Tennessee sports or the University of Tennessee in general is in that store. I love that shop. So shout out to those guys down there, and thank you for sponsoring us. All right. So let's move on to Whack Ass Traditions. Last week it was the Cowbells of Mississippi State. This week we're going to talk about something that the Alabama fans do that I personally love it. Now, we're calling this a whack-ass tradition, but it's a whack-ass tradition on the part of the Alabama fans.
Absolutely.
And it's because they sing a song about Tennessee, and it's one of their favorite things to do. And we've actually got a little clip here of them doing it, and it's whenever I guess they brought it back for the first time, I think in October of 2018. It had been banned because of all the profanity that that they put inside the song, but they brought it back in October of 2018, and the fans were cranking it out. Fans got all pumped up about it, but listen to how much these Alabama fans love Tennessee. If I can get it to play. Give me just a second. Here we go. All right. I love technology.
It obviously doesn't love us.
It'll fire up here in a minute.
The song is about the great song. But I mean, I don't know what's up about that. They've already, got Sweet Home Alabama that they've ruined, which I mean, I would never, even if they didn't play it, I'd still hate it because there's nothing great. There's nothing great about Alabama. I promise you, people.
Yeah, so it's funny that the song is about Tennessee, and and within they've added their own lyrics, F Auburn and Tennessee too. And was it F Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee too? Is that how they do it?
Something like that.
Well, I guess whenever your state is about as exciting as a root canal. You gotta find some other some other state to sing about, and they chose their biggest rival in history. We're not really rivals right now because Tennessee's been underperforming, but there's no team in college football that's beaten the University of Alabama more than the University of Tennessee,
That is true.
including
But
Auburn.
yeah, that's true.
So
And
for them to be singing about us, I appreciate it, and I think maybe for next week or I don't know, Thursday, Tuesday, somewhere in there, we'll throw in Texas A&M's fight song, where they talk about the whole fight song is written about the University of Texas.
nice. I mean, there's so many whack ass traditions. I mean, we'll never run out of those. I mean, there's no way.
That's right. All right. Let's move on to everybody's favorite, General Nealon's 7 favorite memes. 7 memes of the week or 7 memes of the episode. I guess we're going to do this every episode because there's an endless supply of memes out there. But we'll start it off with one of my favorite teams to make fun of is the University of Florida. And it says, remember when those Gator players were blocking each other? You remember that?
Yeah, weren't they playing like a Georgia Southern or something like that?
They were playing Georgia Southern.
Okay. Yeah.
And 2 Florida players were engaged in a really, really vicious blocking battle with each other. It was
vicious.
Yeah.
Or maybe romantic.
It could have been romantic. It's likely, since they are from the University of Florida, that it was romantic in nature.
Hey, where the boys are the squarest.
All right, number 2 on the list. This is not aimed at any specific team, but it is aimed at a conference, and it says, so he tells me he knows a lot about college football, then he tells me he thinks the Big 12 plays really great defense. And we all know that that's not the case.
No. Not at all.
Is the Big 12 like, I wonder if anybody's ever looked conference for conference, maybe in the last decade, which conference has scored the most points? I bet you it's the Big 12 in interconference play.
Well, and you wonder why they have so many damn Heisman Trophy winners, like, Oklahoma 2 years in a row. I mean, they're playing against high school defenses every damn week. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no defense in the Big 12 whatsoever. So if you say otherwise, this meme is for you. Then number 3, let's step outside. While we're in the Big 12, let's step outside the SEC and poke fun at a team, the University of Texas. Texans fans in September, and then Texans fans by mid-October. And Carter, I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but it's that Matthew McConaughey where he's all pumped up at a Texas game, and then he's from.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's what's that movie called? Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah. All right.
That's been pretty accurate for the Longhorns here lately. I think Herman over there, I think he's going to do some things. I think he'll make a little bit of noise. I just don't know if he's the guy to get them back to playing for titles back in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, man, because they have so many resources and so much money at that university. It's unreal.
Yeah, I don't know. They could be paying players all kinds of money. They could be winning championships.
Hey, SMU did it.
Surely the university could buy Tom Herman a couple of Dodge dealerships, and they could give the players free Chargers and Challengers to drive around in.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's how Saban's doing it. All right. We've all been here before. Goes to a football tailgate to pregame, never makes it to the game.
Oh, yeah. You never heard the old saying, if you make it into the game, you didn't have enough fun.
At the tailgate? Yeah, that's right. I've had some wild tailgate, you know, and we're going to talk a little bit about this in the um, favorites portion of the show where we talk about
Yeah.
our favorite home game and our favorite road game. But the tailgate at the Georgia game in 2007 was absolutely insane. I got hammered and then went in to watch Tennessee kick Georgia's tail.
Were you the guy they showed on camera that had his shirt off and painted a T on his chest?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you. This is what I remember. I remember. Well, we'll talk about it. I'm going to save it. We'll talk about
Okay.
it whenever we talk about our favorites, and
Okay.
I'll get back to how inebriated I was. All right.
Nice.
So now we're going to hit old Ed Ogeron. It says a bunch of letters. I'm not. Let me try to pronounce that. Hold on just a second. Regarded that on Go Tigers. There we go.
No, it's Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Yeah, that's right. Go Tigers. There we go. So that's congratulations to LSU on their national championship. They had a really, really good team. I'm not sure. Do you think LSU is going to be as good this year without Burrow?
God, no. They're going to be. They might finish second in the West. I think they're going to finish third. They're going to lose 3 games for sure in the regular season. I think 9-3. Don't get me wrong; they've got some talent, but you're going to see a lot of LSU players going in the draft. Trust me.
But do you think that Joe Burrow was that critical to their success?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's just like Cam Newton was at Auburn. Absolutely.
Bobby's in here watching now. All right, so I'm going to put the beer away, and we're going to be on our best behavior.
Let me put a cork up my ass real quick. Sorry.
Bobby says there should be no woo in Rocky Top.
It's debatable.
I love saying woo when you're at the game. That's how we taught my daughter to sing it. Whenever she would hear Rocky Top on the TV, we would tell her to say the woo whenever, and that's kind of how we got her excited about learning Rocky Top. I think it's critical if you're going to teach them early to put that woo in there. It makes it fun.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and deny that I don't do the woo, but there are a lot of people who can't woo. I mean, it's like, or whatever,
have you compared their woo when they're sober to the woo when they're drunk at the stadium?
That's a good point. I mean, the one person who can woo whenever is Ric Flair.
That's true. Ric Flair, he should be a Tennessee fan by default just because of his woo.
Yep. I mean, he's kind of a
four-teamer. We ought to
teamer.
make a T-shirt out of it. A Volunteer Roadshow T-shirt that just says "Screw the woo."
Screw the woo.
Yeah. All right. Meme number 6 in General Nealon's 7 memes of the show. The bandwagon calling all Alabama fans. I know you're on the delay seeing this, but man, there's a couple of trucks out in the desert, and there are people just piled all over it and junk piled all over it. Yeah.
Speaking of bandwagon, I mean, Alabama has probably one of the biggest out there for sure, because what cracks me up is a lot of people don't realize when you go to an Alabama game in Tuscaloosa, right, Denny? And the fans that you see around your town and that you see out that wear the hats from the gas station that's not officially licensed in any kind of way are not the fans that are at the games. I promise you that. But they're so bad, and here's what you got to do, Josh, and for everybody out there. If you want to find out if this is a true Bama fan or a bandwagon fan, just ask them one simple question. Say, who is Jay Barker? Because if it's a bandwagon fan, they're not going to know who the hell you're talking about. And if it's a real Bama fan, they're going to say, oh, well, he used to play quarterback in Alabama in 1992.
Well, it happens, anytime a dynasty is born, it happens. You get those bandwagoners. And it drives me nuts. When I moved to East Tennessee in 2004, and Tennessee was still doing really well.
Yeah.
They were getting ready to start the decline, but they did pretty good on up through 2007, 2008. 2008 was the fall off season.
Yeah.
But on up through 2007, and there's Tennessee stickers everywhere, Tennessee flags on every house, and you might see the occasional Gator sticker, and you know that guy's just begging for attention. Then you get
Right.
then they fire Fulmer, and they bring in Kiffin, and there's a little bit of excitement around the program. But then after that, you see Dooley come in, Butch come in. There's a lot more Tennessee or Florida, Georgia, Alabama stickers on cars and things around here. And maybe this could be an entire grinds my gear segment for you. But team hoppers, bandwagon fans, people who are only a fan of the team that's doing the best. I don't understand the thought process there, other than just being happy all the time that your team is winning. But how do you switch teams because they're doing well?
I really don't know how. And speaking of our fearless leader, Bobby, me and Bobby talked about this, or Catfish, we talked about it. And, he looks at it almost like a lack of a character flaw, and I know it's sports and you may think, well, it's just a team. But if you're willing to, and he'd do a better job of explaining this, but if you're willing to quit watching the team you like because they're doing bad and go to one that's doing good. I mean, you tend to probably do that in life when the times are getting tough. Just throw in the towel and just.
Well, I've been a Tennessee fan ever since I enrolled at the university, and it's been pretty much all downhill from there.
Well, at least you're honest.
Well, it has. I mean, the bright spots in 2016 when they beat Georgia and Florida.
Yeah.
2007, again, that Georgia game. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But it just hadn't been all sunshine and rainbows. And it's time to get back to sunshine and rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of universities that do not have any sunshine and or rainbows, Georgia Bulldogs, meme number 7, Georgia Bulldogs, still waiting on a national championship. It's been 40 years. I think we're going to see 41. There they are. It's a bunch of Bulldog skeletons on a shelf at probably Big Lots, because I think I have those Bulldogs as part of my Halloween decorations. What do you think? You think Georgia wins a national? This is, if there's going to be a year that Georgia's going to win a national championship, it would be this season coming up right here. Their deck's stacked completely with recruits. I mean, you've got 5 stars, 4 positions deep over there.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna. I really don't think they're gonna have that good of a year, because they got to replace quarterback. They got to replace 4 offensive linemen. They've got, they're going to have a lot of guys get drafted. I know. I don't think they are quite at the Bama level of reload yet. Next year, definitely. But I think they've got so many question marks. They're losing so many starters. I think it will affect them. Now, affecting Georgia, any other school besides Georgia or Bama, I mean, you're talking 4 or 5 losses. I don't think we're going that far, or they're going to go that far. But I definitely think I think that Florida's the team to beat in the SEC this year.
Team to beat over the whole SEC, or just
no? I'm sorry, the SEC East. The SEC East.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. We're talking about Dan Mullen here. And yeah, he did some good things at Mississippi State. But if you notice, he was good one year and then he would be terrible for another 2 or 3 seasons and then he would be good again. And when I say good, I mean relevant. They did make it to a number one ranking. That's probably been the most celebrated thing in Mississippi State sports history, is making it to a number one ranking in football. They've never won a national championship in any team sport ever in the history of the university. But
Yeah,
but regardless, he did those things at Mississippi State, and I get it. They have limited resources over there. You're not recruiting, a ton of 5 stars or anything like that. But I can see some of the same flaws in his game that he had at Mississippi State here at Florida. I think he's come in and taken advantage of an SEC East where Tennessee and Missouri and South Carolina are all down. Tennessee arguably on the climb back up, but all these middle tier schools are down, and there's just it's really slim. It's really easy pickings in the SEC East right now. But as Tennessee builds, I think Muschamp's out after this season, and South Carolina will be looking for a new head coach. But yeah, I mean I think when Tennessee gets back to where it needs to be, you're going to see a shift in what Mullen can do.
yeah. Well, maybe South Carolina can hire you horseback and get him back up here.
I'm sure the players will appreciate the invention of the face shield since he was a coach.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about. So that's the seven memes. Let's talk about next your favorite and our favorites and the favorite home game. We'll start with home game first, and then we'll move to road game. What's your favorite home game of all time, Tennessee?
Man, there's been quite a few. It's kind of tough, believe it or not. But I'm going to have to say 2004 against Florida. Yeah, I got the ticket stub. I don't know why, but I keep all of them. But yeah, 2004 against Florida. We had Eric Ainge, Brent Schaefer. You talked about them earlier. Both true freshmen. We had a stable of running backs. I mean, everybody talks about in 98 when we had Jamal Lewis, Travis Stevens, Travis Henry, three-headed monster. But in 2004, we had a three-headed monster in Cedric Houston, Gerald Riggs, and Jabari Davis. And that was so beneficial to our season. And we won we won the East that year. But anyway, it was a crazy game. Ron Zook was the coach in Florida. They had Chris Leak. And we went back and forth with them all game long. In the fourth quarter, we're down 28-21. Ainge hits Jason Swain over the middle on a slant. Swain gets it in for the touchdown. James Will Hoyt misses the freaking extra point, and we're losing by a point with 2 minutes or so to go. Have to stop them. They get a first down on their first play, and then we used our timeouts, stopped them, got the ball back. Ainge is in there, gets it down to, I want to say, the 36 or so. It was a 50-yard field goal, and he made it. We won 30-28, and it was one of the loudest moments I ever remembered from being in Neyland Stadium. And it's still listed as the most largest attendance game at Neyland Stadium, 109,000.
Speaking of loud games, and this is my favorite home game. When my freshman year at the University of Tennessee, Georgia was ranked number 2. They were coming to our house. I think we were ranked in the low to mid 20s, 22, 23, 25, somewhere around there. And by all accounts, we should have gotten our tails whipped. But Arian Foster went off, rushed like a madman, rushed for 3 touchdowns. We were leading the game 35-0 at halftime. And it was that Neyland Stadium was so loud, it became one solid noise. There wasn't like, you couldn't differentiate between people screaming or anything. And it about blew your eardrums out. There were times there that I got dizzy. And part of that could be because of the alcohol.
Yeah.
But I think the majority of it came from the fact that there's so much noise in there. My eardrums just messed with my equilibrium. That was one of the funnest sports experiences that I've ever had in my entire life, and I would love to see Tennessee return to that kind of fan pride, that kind of support of the team. I guess Ainge was the QB in that game.
Yeah, he was.
And he's still, to this day, one of my favorite QBs that's ever played at the University of Tennessee, because he was pretty well underrated in terms of what his abilities were. He hung around the NFL for a little while before he came back to Knoxville to do broadcasting. And,
well, he got he had the whole pill addiction thing.
And I think it was just a missed talent. I think he could have been a great NFL quarterback after he had some development and stuff like that. But
for sure, he had the size and the frame and everything.
Yeah, exactly. He's a tower. I mean, he was an absolute beast. And so
he gets that honestly from his his uncle Danny Ainge, played for the Celtics.
Yep. What I knew Danny Ainge from his time with the Suns. With Phoenix Suns, and he was just a 3-point machine back then. But yeah, so not to venture too far off the trail there, but yeah, that Georgia game in 2007, where we just clobbered them. I think the final score was 35-14. They poured on the defense there in the second half, and they scored a couple touchdowns, but we just had too much for them too early. And that was a great win. The after party was fantastic. The tailgate was fantastic. The game itself was fantastic. Just all around a good day. How about your favorite road game?
Favorite road game? This one was actually kind of easy. I would have said 2003 Alabama that we talked about earlier, and it was for a long time until 2016. But I'm going to have to go with the 2016 Georgia game in Athens, the Hail Mary, Dobnell boot, whatever you want to call it. It was absolutely insane. I really don't even think I have to talk why it's my favorite road game. I really don't. Everyone else, pretty much knows. And, that was Tennessee. You know how Georgia, the stadium is where they have that one upper deck on that one side. It was all orange. The entire thing was orange. And we did a really good job of traveling on a road game, which growing up we did wherever we went. But, lately in the last 5-6 years, we've done terrible. Like if you look at the Alabama game from this last season, I mean, we had more band members than fans. At least it looked that way. So
yeah.
Just a great day. I got to eat at my favorite place in the world, the Varsity. So that made, that was a good starting off point. And just seeing all the Georgia fans' faces was just great.
All right. The sun is beaming through my skylights now onto my face. So we're going to try to move the rest of this show on a little bit faster, so that people don't have to look at my illuminated mug any longer than necessary. But my favorite road game, this was a toss-up, and of course we're keeping all bowl games and national championship games and everything out of this. This is favorite road regular season game, I guess, and it was kind of a toss-up. But I think I'm going to go with the Auburn game 2 seasons ago, where we had no business.
2018.
Yeah, no business beating that team whatsoever. I felt it. I felt like we were going to catch them sleeping. I called that one weeks in advance. I said Auburn's going to be that team that we're going to catch napping. We go down to their house and just without the wins that we, not having many wins leading up to that game in the seasons prior and everything, it felt so good to get that win. And I guess the best thing about it was that I saw it coming. I knew it was going to happen. It happened. It seemed like we kicked their tails. I know the score was a little bit closer, but if you watch that game, Tennessee was all over Auburn the whole game. We had to come from behind. They had a really stellar offense that year, and our defense had a little bit of trouble containing it. But once we got them contained, and our offense went off, and that was just a bunch of Garantano to Callaway long bombs, high points, and if Callaway doesn't have that game on his highlight reel that he's showing to all these NFL scouts, he's doing himself a disservice. It was a phenomenal game. So I'm going to go with that game in more recent history. I'm sure if we dig further back into the archives, I can find something that was a little more exciting. But in recent times, that Auburn game, my favorite road game. All right. So wish list. Who would you like to see Tennessee play outside of conference? Maybe an early season game. We've got Oklahoma this season. Who would you like to see outside of conference come to Neyland and for us to travel to their stadium?
We've played this team before. I think we've played them 4 times, but never beat them, and that's kind of one reason. But I'd like to see us play Southern Cal. I know USC, they're not what they were in the early 2000s right now, but still, it's the top program all time. And I think it'd be awesome. I know we played UCLA quite a bit. Last time was in 2009. But, yeah, I'd really like to see us play Southern Cal. I guess I'd go out there. I went to UCLA in 2008. But, Southern Cal for me.
All right. And I'm going to go with this was there's a lot of teams that I would love to see Tennessee play. We'll start that off. I'd love to see them go play Texas. I'd love to see them get into the Big Ten a little bit. But the team that I would like to see them play the most, with all the controversy and everything that was surrounding the Schiano Sunday and everything, and all the trash talk that came from the Ohio State fans, I would love to put Ohio State on the schedule and go down there and just whoop their tails. That would be a dream come true for me.
It's funny because we beat them in the Citrus Bowl back in 96. It was 96, 95 season. Peyton Manning. They had Eddie George, who won the Heisman. It was a big matchup, and believe it or not, for it being in the Citrus Bowl, I think they were ranked number 3, and we were ranked number 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. Could have very easily been a national championship game, because both teams were, we only had 1 loss, and I think they did too. So that was a big game, and we ended up beating them 20-14. And the funny thing is, they said the only reason we won was because we changed our cleats at halftime. We had on cleats because it rained that was more suitable for that kind of weather. And just ridiculous.
Whatever you got to tell yourself.
Exactly.
I just think it would be an exciting matchup with all the the recent history. I guess they've never really had any bad blood before, but when Tennessee said we didn't want Schiano, man, it just really, if you remember that, everybody was this, Tennessee and Ohio State fans were just at each other's throats. And I'm happy with the way it turned out. I'm glad we don't have Greg Schiano. I think he's going back to Rutgers, isn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
So maybe if Pruitt can manage to get Rutgers on Tennessee's schedule, that would be phenomenal.
You know, we play, I think the last time we played Rutgers was 2002, but there's like a funny story about Rutgers because I think we played them in the 80s. Maybe if some of the older guys are in the comments, it was sometime in the 80s, I think. But Johnny Majors was our head coach, and apparently everyone was going, "What's a Rutger? What's a Rutger? What the hell's a Rutger?" Well, we found out because they beat us.
Rutger, they're the Scarlet Knights?
Yeah, Scarlet Knights.
Yeah.
From New Jersey.
From Jersey, yeah. That's up there in Garantano territory.
Wish he was still there.
He could be watching. Carter, God bless. Garantano, we love you. We hope you have a phenomenal senior season, and go out there and win us a national championship. That would be great.
I like to be wrong.
All right, man. Anything else you want to add before we take off?
I think that's it. We'll be back on Thursday, so we'll talk to y'all then.
That's right. Quick turnaround. Guys, thank you once again for watching. We appreciate all of your comments. Before we go out, Vol Fan Tom says Florida is the team that he hates the most. And Tom, I have to agree. Alabama's right up there, but I have to agree. Florida, as a younger Tennessee fan, Florida is the team that I hate the most. And then in the Facebook, I think the last comment, well, let's see, we got Bobby was talking about how bad our video is, and I know that it's not an internet issue. My internet is fantastic. It's a computer issue. I've got a new computer on order, one with a lot more processing speed and everything, so that these videos will not be so jumpy. And so
it's a lot better on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at YouTube. YouTube's not fantastic either. I think it's just it's on a laptop, and a laptop trying to do the production of, running the broadcast software and streaming it to 3 different streaming services. It just kind of bogs the computer down a little bit. But I think the audio is great. I don't think we have any issues with the audio. It's just the video. But the quality is just going to get better and better as we keep putting more, making more investments in the equipment and everything. So stick with us. Appreciate the content for what it is, and as we improve equipment wise, the show will improve. And what are Rutgers was the headline in the Saturday paper, says Keith. McCooter Bob Cartwright says, made Eddie George look normal.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good way of summing that game up.
Exactly. Bill Duff, made Eddie his biatch.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Again, thank you guys for watching. Check us out on volunteerroadshow.com. You can also follow us on Facebook. Volunteer Roadshow's got a Twitter account. I'll have all those addresses and everything for you next go round. But it's not that hard. Just search Volunteer Roadshow. We're the only Volunteer Roadshow out there. So Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Don't think we're into the Snapchat and Instagram game, but we did do a TikTok. We did a TikTok once.
That's right.
Maybe we'll bring that up. We'll show them the TikTok in Thursday's show.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Pretty clever, if I do say so.